Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a deck profile for you that isn't very meta. I mean, I did obviously Bond of Bravery and then Bond of Friendship, and I wanted to take a step back and do something a little more fun to play. Not that those two aren't fun to play, but just a little bit more rogue. So just something that you could maybe bring to a casual event and have some fun with it. If you take a win in a tournament with this deck, I'd be surprised. But I've enjoyed playing it, enjoyed building it, playing around with it. It's a really cool concept. And that deck is Eosmon. So we'll get into it now, just go over what I played in it and all the different cards. So for eggs, I chose to go for 4 Agumon, just because green eggs aren't that great if you're not on something with Digiburst or Digisorption, or you're swinging through your opponent's Digimon. You could put those underneath this, but I just think this is the egg that made most sense to me. I should have run a 5th. I don't know why I didn't. I thought the 4 would be enough, but if I was to run a 5th, it'd probably be the new egg. I can't remember the name of, but I've got it right here. Pinamon, that's the one. So if I was to run an extra one, it'd be this. So if you attack an opponent's Digimon, trigger draw 1, just because draw powers, you've got a lot of draw power in this deck, but even more draw power is beautiful. You want that. So that's it for the babies. Then for the level 3s, we run 4 Morphomon. So Morphomon's effect is on deletion, you can reveal top 5 cards of your deck. Add 1 Minervalucci, which is the tamer for this deck, and 1 Digimon with Eosmon in its name to your hand, and then put the rest at the bottom of the deck. At first I felt like this ability would have been better if it was trash the rest, just because the main effect of the level 6 is to pull back some of the sources. But after playing it, I do think it does work. Being able to cycle your deck so aggressively that you pretty much run through your deck a couple of times, but where you're putting stuff at the bottom, you're just able to cycle through it. It's quite fun. Obviously it's on deletion only. I'd prefer if it was on play, but it does mean you've got to get out and swing it to get that off. But it works really well. It's one of your main search pieces in this. There's another search piece which kicks off all the time, which is crazy, and when we get to that we'll have a look at it. Then we run for Agumon, just your vanilla 3k body. Maybe I could have played some other greens, but I just felt there were situations where if I needed to choke my opponent, I wanted to have the answer to that, because this deck can be pretty expensive, so I wanted some cheaper options too. Then we run 2 Wormmon. So on deletion, reveal top 3 cards and add a 4 or 5. The only thing you're ever searching for in this deck really is 4, 5s and 6s. So being able to swing this guy, he dies, and it's another search for you is quite nice. And then just 2 Agumon for the 1k DP extra. I think if I was going to change it, I'd go 3-3 on these, just because that 1k DP pushes your 5s up to 7k, which is nice because they're swinging over blockers, and it's a little bit extra DP, so you're less likely to die when you're swinging. And obviously in this deck you want to constantly be swinging, so being able to survive and play out an extra body is a lot better than swinging in security and hitting a 6k body, or then blocking and trading. So that is it for the rookies. Then we've got the level 4s, so nice and simple. 4 blocker Kabuteru, he's just one to Digivolve up. I opted for him over the Woodmon just because this deck's so aggressive, you don't really need blockers too often. If you're going to lose in this deck because you have nothing to play on board, or you're just not able to keep up pace. So I think blockers, they're good early game, but you don't really see them too much end game. But it's nice to have a cheap Digivolution to go up into level 5s on top of, so it works really well. And then we play 4 of the level 4 Eosmon. So we are only playing 8 level 4s, and just as I was preparing for this video, I realized that I'm yet to play a deck in this meta that runs traditional ratios. So we've obviously got the bonds, which are crazy with their ratios, and this again is pretty crazy with its ratios. So Eosmon's effect is on play, you play a white tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. Then your opponent may play one tamer card from their hand without paying its memory cost. So this all synergizes with the level 6. This whole effect is working off how many tamers are on board. It can feel like a double-edged sword if you're playing this and your opponent gets to play a tamer, but you just need to make sure if you are playing this you're in a good position. Otherwise you can digivolve up onto it and then use this inheritable, which is when attacking you can pay a white tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. So if you're a bit worried that if you give your opponent a tamer it's really going to be a detriment to you, you do have the option to get a tamer out that way, which does come up. And then we're moving on to the level 5s, which is, if you've seen an Eosmon deck list, this is where it gets a bit silly. So we run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 level 5 Eosmon. So this is a swarm deck. It's all about swarming. So your main swarm piece is your Eosmon level 5. So its effect is you can include up to 50 copies of this card in your deck. And when attacking, you may play a level 5 or lower Eosmon from your hand without paying its memory cost. So this is how you swarm. You swing with this guy, play out another one, and the next turn, theoretically, you have 2 bodies to swing, play out 2 more. Which is why you need such aggressive search. And that's why I like the Agumon as well, just because getting that 1k extra DP allows you to, like I said, swing, and then you're not trading with the blocker if they choose to block. And also you're more likely to survive, and just it's a nice little bit of DP boost. So if you want, you can swing into something and kill it and not die, and then play out another body, or even just trade with a level 5 that's 7k, and then you're plus in anyway, so you don't mind. So that is it for the level 5s, nice and simple. And then we've got the level 6s. So we've got just 4 Eosmon level 6. So this isn't so much a win con, but this is your big removal in the deck. So Eosmon's effect is when digivolving, for each tamer in play, including your opponent's tamers, you may place 1 level 5 or lower Eosmon from your trash at the top of this Digimon's Digivolution sources in any order you want. If you place 2 or more, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. So it's just straight up delete, no DP restrictions, just delete one of your opponent's Digimon. And then the other great effect is for every 3 Digivolution sources you have, gain secure attack +1. So if you're doing this on top of a stack, and say you've got 4 tamers out, you bring 4, you're going to get secure attack +2. And the nice thing, which I forgot to mention, is each one of these Eosmon, as inheritable, have this Digimon gets 1k DP on your turn. So if you stack a ton of those, you could be swinging 20k 3 checks, which is insane. It is a 5 cost to digivolve, which isn't as fun. There are ways to gain memory through the tamers, so you are on 5, but most of the time you're going to be passed in turn. I did toy around with the idea of running a green memory boost, because you're able to cycle so quickly through this deck. You play a green memory boost, if you whiff, it's fine. You've got that 2 memories sitting there for you to be able to pop and use to go into Eosmon and keep turns, so you can pop something on the board and swing multiple checks. It is something I would potentially implement. There are a few cards that drop for that, but again, the only issue is you need to have a green Digimon out to use that memory boost, be it from your level 3s or your rookies. That's the only way you're going to be able to play it. So you want to make sure you're playing, like, you have to make sure you've got everything you need before playing the memory boost, which just means it's a little less consistent. There's going to be times where you have it in your hand and you can't play it, but those times will be few and far between. But I do think it's a good trade. And then we've got the tamers and options. So we've got Mino Bellucci. She's the new tamer for this deck, and she's White's first memory tamer, which is really nice. So you'll see her being played in decks where she has no synergy just for that White Digimon who's a memory tamer, so it allows them to go up into use Ultimate Fusion to go up in their Zwarts. So her effect is, start of your turn, 2 memory or less, go up to 3 memory. So that's your memory tamer ability. And then your turn, when you play an Eosmon, you may suspend this tamer to the top 3 cards of your deck, add one tamer card or one Digimon card with Eosmon in its name among them to your hands. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. So it's a similar ability to what you have on Morphomon. And then on opponent's turns, while you have an Eosmon in play, your opponent's tamer don't unsuspend during their unsuspend phase. Which just means it's not come up too often, but it can come up. I do think I missed it in one of the games. I didn't remember that ability, just because tonight is actually the first time I'm properly playing this deck. So apologies if there are any misplays. I will be putting gameplay up with this like I always do. The only issue is OBS decided to not record my opponent's audio. So it will be just not a silent video, but there'll be music background, but there'll be no talking. So obviously if you're not sure what Eosmon does, it may not be that fun to watch. But hopefully you'll be watching this first, so you at least know what the deck does. So when you're seeing it played, you know what's going on. And then for the other tamers, we run 2-time Mat. The only reason you're playing this is for that +2 memory if they have a level 6 on board, which does come up. So he's just there to, again, push you to 5 memory so you can keep playing with Eosmon, or even just give you a bit more memory to play with. And then 2 Takumis. If I was going to swap anything out, it would be the Takumis. I only play these for the sake of having extra white tamers, and I don't think you need it. It is nice on Digivolve getting that extra draw, but it's the detriment of not being able to swing you level 3s, and you have 6 level 3s that you want to kill to gain different fields to gain searching. So if you're not doing that, or if you're doing that and it's costing you memory, it feels kind of bad. So I think I'd either swap these 2 out for 2 memory boosts and see how that goes, or there is another card that one of the guys on the Discord brought up to me, and I'll just show you now. And that card is Tropical Venom. It's a bit of an obscure one. When he first told me about it, I was like, oh, okay, I guess so. Again, you'll be in the same position where you have to have green Digimon to play this, because you don't play any green tamers. But what it allows you to do is, for 0 cost, one of your opponent's Digimon gains, on deletion, lose 2 memory. So what you can do is you can play this when you've got level 5 Eosmon out, then go into your Eosmon level 6, activate the effect, delete something on your opponent's board, but you've tagged that, so when it gets deleted you gain 2 memory, which then means you can keep turn with Eosmon. It's a lot trickier than just playing a memory boost, because the thing is, you could play a memory boost and potentially gain a rookie, which you do miss sometimes. And then you've got that memory to activate as and when you need it. Yes, it doesn't get over memory blockers, and you could even tag a memory blocker with this, then blow it up and gain the memory. So that's the only downside to it, but it's definitely an interesting tech. If you're looking to run the green variant of this deck, definitely consider that one. And then we've got the options we play for this. So it's just 4 Cutting Edge. So Cutting Edge's effect is main, you may play a 1 level 5 or lower Eosmon from your hand without paying its memory cost, and then once that Digimon is played, you may delete a Digimon with the same or less DP than the one played. So the best way to think of it is you pay 6, play out a level 5 Eosmon, and then kill something with a 6k DP on their side. So it's a good way to plus, because otherwise if you were just playing that, it'd cost you 5, so you're paying an extra memory to kill something on your opponent's board, which is quite nice. It's really nice when it's hitting security, because it's a free +1 for you if you have it in your hand, but there has been times where this has been hitting security and I've run out of Eosmon in my hand, so it's not done anything. But I think 4 is a good ratio for best way to think of it. This is like the pure build version, so this is how it was designed to be built with green. But there are a few other variants that people run. There's one that runs black instead of green in it, and that's just kind of almost your security control variant. There's one that runs yellow as well, just to get off, so you've got a bit of recovery and you get your spirals off where you're building so wide. And there is also a red one. I've not seen that one personally. I was being told about it by Holy, and he said that one's quite interesting as well. So there's a few different ways to build this, where it is this weird rush deck, but this is the most consistent. It's not the most strong. It's not the strongest, but it is the most consistent. As for how it did today, it did as well as I expected. You know, it struggles with meta matchups. It's definitely a deck you build for fun to play with some friends, but honestly it's such a fun deck to play, and the swarming is so cool. The way the deck works is really interesting. I just don't think it has the power to do much after that. You swarm, great. If you're going up against security control, they just Gale Swarmer and wipe out your whole board. If you're going up against Bond of Friendship, they bottom deck your whole board. The only one that you may not worry, well, not worry, but you may be able to do a little bit better against is Bond of Bravery, just because they can't wipe your board, because at most Atomic Blaster will get rid of one. But it's such an aggressive deck, they're going to just swing through your security anyway, and where you only run 4 blockers and you use them as building pieces, you're not going to be able to do much against it. But against other rogue decks, it does really well. It went up against, not so much a rogue deck, but it went up against Hexablau Azalong, which I'll put gameplay up against, which it did really well against that. It was able to control the board and go for victory that way. And it also didn't do bad against security, Three Musketeers. I didn't win that one. I did take one round, which was nice. But you know, it didn't do bad. It wasn't a complete whitewash. What it does not do well against is rush, because this is a swarming deck, but it's very slow build up. It's almost like Three Musketeers, where the longer the game goes, the better position you're in. So against the deck, which I was actually, it was between that deck and this deck that I was going to play. So it went up against the BT6 version of Commandramon, and it ran through me. There was nothing I could do. I was playing the option cards just to clear something on their board, so I didn't die that turn. It was ridiculous how aggressive that deck is now. But it was fun to play. I'm glad I played it. I will be doing like the Commandramon BT6 deck at some point, but as for what I'm going to be playing next time, I'm not sure. It's a bit of a toss-up. I've been looking at a few ideas. Maybe Three Musketeers. I'll go back to a deck that's a little bit stronger. If not, I think we're going to have a look at purple. So it's either between those two. So there's going to be some purple in it, but I think it's time to go back to my favorite color. I will, and I am still working on it. There will be a Mastimon deck soon. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll find a list that I'm really happy with, that I'm ready to show off. Because what I don't want to do is show a list for Mastimon that I'm not happy with, where it's not a meta deck and it's a very rogue deck. I want to be happy with the build. With this, I'm absolutely happy with how this performed and the way it's built. There's minor things I've changed with the Mastimon deck. There's so many differences, so many different ways to build like a Master Yellow. I'm still at the workbench. I've built about 4 different versions. I'm not happy yet, so hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll be ready to show off my Mastimon deck as well. But that is it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this deck profile, and as again, there will be gameplay footage. Sadly, it doesn't have any voice in it, just because OBS decided not to record voices, so it will be a bit of a silent game. I'll put some backing tracks on there and do minimal editing, but there's not going to be any like conversing from me and the opponent. There's just my audio. I don't want to put just me talking to a silent protagonist, so sadly it is going to be a mute video. But as always, I've been Gruffy, and I hope you're getting good as well. Just thanks again to Ultimate TCG for being the channel's first sponsor. And remember, if you want a way to support us, all you need to do is go over to Ultimate TCG's website, and when you're checking out, enter the code GruffyGG1021, and they'll net you 3% off. So if you're looking to pre-order any of the new boxes, drops them to just over £70, or anything else TCG related, it is a minimum order of £20, and it's one use per customer. But it's just a way for you to support me by supporting them over at Ultimate TCG.